Hello and welcome. Tonight, Vice President Kashim Shettima leads Nigeria's delegation to the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York. Idemili residents in Anambra State endorsed Governor Chukwuma Soludo's re-election bid. The Taraba State Emergency Management Agency begins the evacuation of residents along floodplains in Ibi local government area. And at least 3 people have been killed and more than 30 others injured in a massive overnight Russian attack on Ukraine.
And on business tonight, Nigeria records 5.5% year-on-year crude output growth in August, meets 96% of OPEC targets.
On sports, Kenya's Beatrice Chebet outsprints compatriots Faith Kipyegon to win the women's 5,000 meters gold at the World Athletics Championships.
The Vice President will lead a delegation to the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York, United States of America, between September the 22nd and the 28th. A statement from the Office of the Vice President says the decision is based on President Bola Tinubu's directive. Mr. Kashim Shettima is expected to deliver Nigeria's national statement and attend a special event on climate change for heads of state and government, where Nigeria is expected to announce its new national determined contributions under the Paris Agreement. Other engagements during the event include a high-level roundtable of the global champions on adequate and affordable housing to be hosted by the President of Kenya, amongst other bilateral meetings. From New York, Vice President Shettima is scheduled to proceed to Frankfurt, Germany, to meet with officials of Deutsche Bank before returning to Nigeria. To politics now. In Adamawa State, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has conducted the local government congresses, which is the second in the series of congresses before the party's national convention in November. PDP chieftains who monitor the process expressed satisfaction with the turnout and peaceful conduct of the exercise.
This local government congress in Adamawa State by the People's Democratic Party, PDP, is part of the preparations for the party's national convention slated for November this year. The chairman of the PDP National Committee on Local Government Congresses in Adamawa State, along with his team, monitored the exercise in Yola North, Yola South and Gire local government areas of the state. Yola South local government witnessed a large turnout of members for the exercise.
We discovered that everything is going on very successfully. We solicit their cooperation to support the electoral committee so that we'll have a hitch-free electoral process. We are here to elect officials of the local government executive council of the party. And what they have done so far, I'm sure the critical stakeholders are here and they will, by consensus, elect them successfully. So we have seen so far, everywhere that we have gone is very peaceful, it's very normal, there are no crises, and we want to encourage them to go on and finish the exercise successfully.
The situation is same in Gire local government area, where delegates opted for consensus.
The conduct of the ongoing local government congresses have been incredibly satisfactory. As you can see, the turnout is amazing. Even the rains couldn't stop people trooping out to come and, of course, exercise their franchise. But I must say, I'm happy to say that, most of, if not all of the candidates emerged as consensus candidates. This, of course, demonstrates and showcases the unity of the party, but most importantly, the leadership that the party currently enjoys. And obviously we know this is as a result of the governor's, our dear governor, Right Honorable Ahmadu Umaru Fentri's leadership style, which of course has an all-inclusive style of leadership.
With the successful conduct of the local government congresses in the state, party members now look forward to next Saturday when the state congress is expected to hold.
The people of Idemili in Anambra State have unanimously endorsed Governor Chukwuma Soludo for a second term in office. At the event, a major stakeholder, Mr. Ifeanyi Ibezim, who defected to the APC, made a grand return to APGA. Governor Soludo appreciated the support and urged the people to remain steadfast, as APGA is Anambra's identity and vehicle for development.
It's an extraordinary endorsement and homecoming rally of the All Progressives Grand Alliance APGA at Ekeagu Square, Abatete, in Idemili North local government area of Anambra State, where in their thousands, supporters of Governor Chukwuma Soludo troop out to give his re-election bid a superlative boost. This is also a homecoming for the former lawmaker representing Idemili North and South Federal Constituency in the House of Representatives, and he moves a motion for the endorsement of Professor Chukwuma Soludo's re-election.
Whereas, as Governor Soludo, since assumption of office in March 17, 2022, has demonstrated visionary leadership, prudent management of resources, an unwavering commitment to building a livable and prosperous Anambra as evidence of his transformational leadership.
And very hardworking people of Oyi. I am the federal constituency, of course I'm from Anambra State. I rise to second the motion as ably moved by my brother. I so second.
Motion ably moved and seconded. Right Honorable Pascal Abodike, thank you so much. Forward to for second term.
While the chairman of the 2025 APGA Governorship Election Campaign Council points to some of the developmental strides of the governor, the state chairman of APGA welcomes defecting members, especially Mr. Ifeanyi Ibezim.
We know he has the capacity to do good work, and we enjoin him to join hands with the rest of Idemili North faithful in making sure that we break this paradox that has been so much talked about.
Mr. Governor, the last campaign we won, and we won convincingly. This second campaign, we are going to win and win crushingly.
Thank you.
Mr. Governor, Idemili North and South has never been this united.
The man of the moment mounts the podium, and the atmosphere is charged as he dances with the crowd. Governor Soludo tells the people that Anambra State is on the rise and the world is beginning to notice.
All over the state, in all the wards, anybody, major people who have one way or the other, tried to look into the other side. They are now all back. November 8th, with what I have seen going around Anambra, the people have taken over the movement. It's no longer my campaign. It is now the people's campaign. Never in the history of Anambra do you find people organizing rallies of endorsement funded by themselves with their own money, and some even donating money to our campaign. We have never seen a thing like this. I have not seen it in Nigeria. But it is happening in Anambra. It is a people's movement.
With the support of key figures and communities, the impact of the Idemili people's support on Governor Soludo's re-election is significant. The expectation is that the governor will continue to deliver on his key commitment to massive community development.
politics. The Edo State local government election has taken place today in 15 of the 18 local government areas, despite a High Court ex parte order restraining EDSEC from conducting the polls. The vacant positions are those of councillors in 59 wards in the local government areas. A visit to some of the polling stations in Medin Metropolis revealed a good turnout of voters exercising their franchise. Meanwhile, the All Progressives Congress APC has commended the smooth conduct of the by-elections in Edo State. The APC Secretary, Edo State Chapter, Mr. Lawrence Oka, lauded voters for coming out to exercise their franchise in an exercise which saw 59 legislative seats being contested by participating political parties.
The turnout is impressive, and knowing fully well that you know how we are in Nigeria. When you say election and there's no restriction, more people, but people are coming out fully. I can see for this by unit. People are coming out fully to vote, and we are very happy and impressed with the turnout. And I want to use the opportunity to thank EDSEC for a job well done, bringing materials out at the appropriate time. You can see for yourself, they've done very well. There are no itches. Everybody is coming out to vote. Go back because they believe in the process.
To other stories now. The Taraba State Emergency Management Agency has begun the evacuation of thousands of residents along floodplains in Ibi local government area to avert loss of lives and properties. The move became necessary following predictions and rising water levels along the river Benue.
According to the National Flood Early Warning Center, 11 local government areas in Taraba State are expected to be affected, in addition to other locations across 13 states nationwide, due to expected heavy downpour. Already, local government areas along the river Benue lining, such as Lao, Karim Lamido, Jalingo, Yoro, among others, have experienced flooding, and now the water levels in Ibi local government area is witnessing a surge. Officials of the Taraba State Emergency Management Agency are not leaving anything to chance and are taking proactive measures by engaging communities living along floodplains and evacuating them ahead of the intense flood.
We're here in Ibi local government today in compliance with the directive of His Excellency Dr. Kefas, as an advisory issued by Nigerian Meteorological Agency regarding heavy downpour that is embedded in the month of September. In the light of this, we are asked to evacuate people at the flood high-risk areas. We are here in Ibi. We've evacuated them to safer grounds.
The State Emergency Management Agency is providing food and non-food items as relief materials for residents who will be staying at the makeshift shelter.
I want to encourage the general public to know that it's not just the responsibility of the state government to support displaced person. Every other person can also bring his own resources, because emergency is not just for one person, it's for every person. So we encourage the philanthropists, the politicians to support and complement the effort of His Excellency.
Some of the affected residents appreciate the efforts to evacuate them to safety.
We are thankful to Governor Kefas for this kind gesture, for assisting us to evacuate the floodplains. By this action, he has written his name in gold.
The state government maintains that it remains committed to ensuring that lives and property are safeguarded through proactive measures.
In part two, after the break, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, says residents of the River Park Estate to get new certificates of occupancy. That's in a moment. Join us again. Welcome back. back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television. A quick recap of our top stories. Vice President Kashim Shettima leads Nigeria's delegation to the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York. Idemili residents in Anambra State endorsed Governor Chukwuma Soludo's re-election bid. Taraba State Emergency Management Agency begins the evacuation of residents along floodplains in Ibi local government area. And at least 3 people have been killed and more than 30 others injured in a massive overnight Russian attack on Ukraine. It appears the political tension in Benue State is far from over, as the Development Association has accused Governor Hyacinth Alia of being responsible for the resignation of Mr. Andona Dajo as the Speaker of the State House of Assembly. The social cultural group stated this during a media briefing in Boko area. However, the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor denied the involvement of Governor Alia in the leadership change in the State Assembly.
The crisis that led to the removal of the former Speaker of the Benue State House of Assembly, Mr. Andona Dajo, on August 24th appears not to be dying down anytime soon. Members of the Jengbag Development Association had taken an interest in the development. The Socio-Cultural Association covers Boko, Taka, and Buruku local government areas of the state. The former speaker hails from Boko West local government area, and leaders of the association are displeased with the process that led to his resignation as Speaker of the State House of Assembly.
Right Honorable Andona Dajo from Boko West State constituency was elected as Speaker. Under very strange and dubious circumstances, Dajo was forced to resign without cogent reasons. And instead of the seat to be retained by Jengba, it was whisked away to Makudi North or Minda, without due recourse to the leaders of Jengba. As if that was not bad enough, the governor attended a church service in Boko and spoke in unpleasant terms against the former speaker. Jengba considered this insensitive and a poor representation of the character of the first constituency of the governor.
However, the state government is denying the involvement of Governor Hyacinth Alia in determining the leadership of a state assembly.
In the document that we saw, that the Speaker resigned his position, there's nowhere he stated, and even thereafter, that he was forced to resign his position. And so where they got this, were they in their dreams? I don't know. Funny enough, the man who led the Jengba people to discuss this, the team that led the Jengba people to discuss this in a press conference on the list I've seen, are mostly PDP people, ADC people, and I don't know where they got this idea of the governor forcing the speaker to resign. This is not true.
Mr. Kula maintains that the state government is not distracted by the political situation, stating that the governor is focused on developing the infrastructure in the state.
The Defense Headquarters has restated its commitment to ensure the safe return of internally displaced persons to their ancestral homes. The Chief of Defense Civil-Military Relations, Rear Admiral Olusonya Bankole, gave the assurance at Durumi IDP camp in Abuja during an outreach to mark the International Day of Peace. He said the armed forces has intensified operations to clear terrorists and other criminal elements from the affected communities.
A delegation from the Defense Headquarters brings goodies to the internally displaced persons at the Durumi camp in the nation's capital. The exercise is part of activities of the armed forces to mark the 2025 International Peace Day, which is themed Act Now for a Peaceful World. The International Day of Peace is a United Nations observance held on September 21 every year. It is dedicated to promoting world peace and the absence of war and violence, with a focus on ensuring access to humanitarian aid. Beyond the aid, the Defense Headquarters is committing to take concrete action to ensure the safe return of IDPs to their ancestral homes.
In the northeast, in the northwest, in the north central, a lot of politics are going on to lead the country of banditry. Luckily, the territories that have been taken before have been taken back. But there's a process to get these people back to their original ways. A lot of them need to be sensitized to go back to their original ways because maybe due to the stress they had, the banditry and everything. So these palliatives now is just a stopgap measure while we prepare them to go back to their homes. You know, there are these three arms. There's called rehabilitation, reintegration. Is that reintegration part? Now, all this part is still part of the rehabilitation processes.
The residents also appreciate the gesture and urge the government to urgently rebuild destroyed communities to facilitate sustainable resettlement.
I want to say thank you to the military for living up to their immediate constituency, the victims of the insurgency. So I want to appeal not only to the government but the international community. Nigeria has been helping other countries since I was growing up. Today I'm above 70. So it means the world should too come out now to help Nigeria out. So let this International Day for Peace be used to sensitize those governments. Let President, His Excellency, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, remind those presidents that volunteered on their own and made it open that we are ready to come into Nigeria to solve the problems of the IDPs.
The event featured the distribution of food, clothing, and school supplies to women and children in the camp, as well as medical support and counseling.
The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Nyesom Wike, has clarified that the FCT administration will issue new certificates of occupancy to residents of River Park Estate who had built houses on the land directly allocated by the FCT administration. The minister made this known when he visited the estate following reports that parts of it are undergoing development, despite an earlier instruction he gave. The FCTA had halted construction on over 30 structures within the estate, citing non-compliance with planning regulations.
Entering into an agreement with a third party is a contravention of one of the clauses of the lease agreement. And what we agreed to do in order not to make a lot of people, Nigerians who may have fraudulently obtained built houses, we decided that we'll give them back CFO to say that was directly allocated by the FCT administration. And so this cry that, oh, they want to take their property is neither there nor there. That is not the intention of the FCT administration. And we now said that since the lease agreement had expired, no more development. And what one of them did, Put a Home did, was overnight. You can see starting to do construction in order to tie the hands of the administration, which of course, you know, will not succumb to such. And so we sent the Department of Development Control to come here and demolish every construction going on. And that will continue to do, and I appeal to those who do not understand or who do not have known, not to be fooled. Anybody who's doing anything here now is at his own risk.
The ancient city of Ibadan is said to witness history on Friday, September 26th, as former governor of Oyo State, Rashidi Ladoja, ascends the throne as the 44th Olubadan. President Bola Tinubu is expected to join prominent Yoruba monarchs, political leaders, captains of industry, and thousands of Ibadan sons and daughters to celebrate the coronation. Unveiling details of the program at a media briefing in Ibadan, the chairman, Planning and Organizing Committee, Mr. Bayo Oyero, said the week-long activity will reflect the inclusive and rich cultural heritage of the people.
The accession of Oba Ladoja is a journey of many years, a path meticulously followed and guided by the wisdom of our ancestors. His Imperial Majesty is a man of remarkable depth and experience. He is a former senator, a former governor of Oyo State, a seasoned engineer, and a highly successful business magnate. The diverse background has equipped him with a unique understanding of our people, from the grassroots to the corridors of power. We are confident that he will bring this wealth of experience and a new vision to the throne, leading Ibadan land into a new era of progress, peace, and prosperity. The coronation ceremony will be the culmination of a week-long series of events beginning on Monday, September 22. These events are designed to be inclusive and reflective of our rich cultural heritage, bringing together people of all faiths and backgrounds. We have planned for inter-religious prayers, a cultural fiesta, a coronation lecture, and a Thanksgiving service to honor these historic moments.
The Zamfara State Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning has engaged youth across the 14 local government areas on budgeting activities. The initiative is aimed at promoting inclusiveness, accountability, and transparency in the state's budgeting system. Speaking during the engagement in Gusau, the Commissioner for Budget, Mr. Abdul Malik Ganjam, said the present administration welcomes criticism of its budgeting system as long as it's constructive and geared towards development.
Youth across the 14 local government areas of Zamfara State, alongside civil society organizations, international and local non-governmental organizations, gathered in Gusau, the state capital, for a town hall engagement on the state's budgeting process.
For them to perform on most of that.
Tagged Ask Commissioner Budget, the gathering is aimed at engaging youth on the Zamfara state budget from 2023 to 2026, and also to brief them on government's plans for the 2026 fiscal year.
We are here now preparing for the 2026 budget. We want to look back and see what have we done and the questions that you have, and how can we shape this budgeting system to perform better for the people of Zamfara State. How can we reshape this financial document, this appropriation document, so that we'll be able to take care of all these important sectors that we have in terms of security, in terms of women, in terms of youth, in terms of agriculture, in terms of investment. It's an opportunity for us. Let's criticize the government.
Key issues such as security, healthcare services, education, empowerment, youth and women inclusion took the center stage of discussions.
Given the state's security challenges, how does the state propose 2026 budget specifically allocate funds for youth-focused PCV and peace-building initiatives? PCV, preventing violent extremism, beyond donor projects in the state.
I see first-hand challenges on overstretched healthcare facilities, malnutrition, and disease outbreaks, particularly cholera. Over the years, health and rural budgets were underutilized. So my question is, how is the state government ensures that funds for health are not only allocated, but are implemented?
At the end of the 3-hour engagement, the State Commissioner for Budget highlights some of the takeaways from the engagement, assuring that the state government would act on the recommendations.
There is need for more empowerment of youths and women. There is need for expanding our reach in terms of investments and what have you. And there is need for a lot of listening and then trying to have more conversation with people across the state so that we enlighten them about this process of budgeting and dealing with public funds.
The meeting ended with a collective call for a more inclusive budgeting system that reflects the needs and aspirations of citizens across Zamfara State.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Nigeria records 5.5% year-on-year crude output growth in August to meet 96% of OPEC target. That's on Business News. Do join us again. Welcome back. The Director General, National Space Research and Development Agency, is leading an advocacy for early exposure to school children to space science to solve emerging African challenges. The Director General, Matthew Adepoju, also made a call for a robust investment in space science as it holds a solution to challenges on the continent, especially security, agriculture, and environmental issues.
The space science, innovation and technology is the bedrock of every global development. There is no terrestrial problem that doesn't have solution from the space. And that's why in the agency, our cash priorities, space is ubiquitous from agriculture, from communication, from transportation, from oil and gas. Every human endeavors, including security, space technology is the bedrock of solution to all this this problem. You talk about environmental challenges, climate change, flooding, and even tectonic plate movement. We have observatory center that actually monitor what goes on beneath our Earth surface. So there is no problem that humanity is facing that the solution is not in space. Because when you put our budgetary provision side by side with our partners, we need to do more. And the government is trying hard to do more. And that's why we want to thank the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, for the approval that he has given the Space Agency to launch 4 new satellites and then even to mainstream the space technology into all the activities of MDAs, departments and agencies, including the private sector in Nigeria.
Nearly half of the 13,000 tons of waste generated daily in Lagos is organic. Roughly 6,500 tons poses a serious environmental risk. The Managing Director of the Lagos State Waste Management Authority, Mr. Muyiwa Gbadegeshi, made this comment during an interactive session with private sector players in Lagos. He says a new organic waste management system has been implemented to address this issue, which is critical to achieving a cleaner Lagos.
How best to manage organic waste is the reason for this one-day interactive session initiated by the Lagos State Waste Management Authority, where eatery managers, restaurant operators and other key stakeholders were brought together to explore solutions to achieving a cleaner Lagos. The Lagos Waste Management Authority says a new organic waste management system has been put in place to reduce methane emissions, boost recycling, and support the state government's climate action goals.
The vision with the low methane project is to cut at least 1 million metric tons of annual methane emissions before 2030, working with selected subnational jurisdictions to unlock over $10 billion in public and private investment. Some of the priority actions include to scale up biodigester use for household and communities. And for that, we have a pilot biodigester at the Ikosi fruit market that's taking fruit waste and converting that into biogas for cooking and for powering street lights in the market. Another priority action is to construct sanitary landfills with gas capture at the existing and new sites.
The session highlights the growing challenge of organic waste across the state and innovative approaches to turning waste from a burden into an opportunity.
This waste can effectively be converted to briquettes, especially now that Lagos State has adopted this clean cook stove under the Office of the Special Advisor on Climate Change. Ministry of Agriculture and Food Systems is generating a lot of waste, sincerely speaking, and collaborating with LOMA is going to move Lagos very far above the unexpected waste that we generate.
And this is a forward-thinking project which ultimately aligns with the newly signed Lagos Electricity Law, which allows Lagos State to generate its own power and distribute its own power, and also in promotion of renewable energy, which will enhance our environmental sustainability by reducing the methane gas from fossil fuel that we already are using right now.
Sound policies and active community participation, we can turn these risks into opportunities for a healthier, cleaner, and more resilient Lagos.
Environment experts say the use of technology will also play a key role by tracking collection routes digitally to converting food and organic waste into compost and biogas.
Waste accounts for 13.84% of the total greenhouse gas emission that Lagos State generates. And this is an improvement from what we had in the past few years because of the innovation, because of the new technology, or the new ways of doing things in Lagos.
It is important to what? To segregate your waste. What is your role? Educate your staff. Stakeholders, please educate your staff.
The Lagos State government believes that with collaborations and public participation, Lagos State can build a resilient future where waste is not just managed but transformed into wealth, and in turn make Lagos cleaner, healthier, and a more sustainable state.
Deliberate efforts towards developing Ogun State has continued yielding results as the economy has increased fourfold, jumping from 3.5 to 16 trillion naira. Governor Dapo Abiodun disclosed this when he played host to executives from the MAP Group and secured an investment pledge of $1.8 to $2.5 billion.
We're the fastest growing economy in this country. Our economy between 2019 and 2025 has quadrupled. Without having to onboarding people any more than they were boarding, but by just being efficient and by bringing more people here. When I came into office, the economy of this state was about 3.5 trillion naira. Today, our economy is inching 16 trillion naira. That tells you that something is happening here. When you look at our budget size, last year was $1.05 billion. When I assumed office, it was 350 billion. This year is going to be about 1.5 trillion. So, there's a lot going on in the economy of the state. So, like I said, I'm sure you know why you chose Ogun State. In another few weeks, we'll be doing the groundbreaking of the biggest textile processing plant in the world, right at the airport, which will employ about 250,000 people, with $2.5 billion investment. So you can imagine that being there. We have the airport, which has just been licensed with the highest approval ever issued in Nigeria. I know the airport has that approval, the first airport to be given an aerodrome approval. We're doing a dry port, we're doing a seaport. We are trying to connect, the state, by trains, all over the state. So all the ingredients that you need for the patronage of any leisure facility is here.
Some company news now. A cooperative society for the staff of Shell and Renaissance Africa Energy Company has broken ground on a new housing project in the Ogudu area. The Coopland Manor, developed in partnership with the Dream City Group, is set to deliver affordable homes for its members and the community.
In the heart of Ogudu, Lagos, is a groundbreaking ceremony for Coopland Manor, a housing project by Coopland Cooperative Investment and Thrift Society Limited.
Yes, now that's number 4.
Cooplag is a cooperative society for the staff of Shell and Renaissance Africa Energy Company, and this project is to make affordable housing more accessible to its members and the wider community.
This project is not just about bricks and mortar. It is about building homes where families thrive, children grow safely, and community flourish. The vision behind Coopland Manor is clear. It's to provide modern, accessible housing that reflects the aspiration of our members at different cadres.
Estate is unique in so many ways. One is that the estate is made up of mixed scheme. It is also not just block of flat. It is a contemporary style of living. It is unique, it is contemporary. We're talking about modern days housing scheme. The estate is cost effective. I can assure you, it is affordable.
I have known it for a long time.
To deliver high-quality, large-scale housing projects, Cooplag is partnering with the real estate developer Dream City Group to bring its vision to life.
Dream City is known for building and delivering industry standard structural works with the interests of our stakeholders and buyers in mind. With the support of our stakeholders here present, we believe in scheduled time, in 30 months from now, we should be here to commission the first set of units, meaning the 2- and 3-bedroom block of flats.
In a symbolic gesture, the leadership of Cooplag, alongside representatives of Dream City Group, subscribers and invited guests, moved to officially break ground by laying the foundation blocks.
We are creating a village here, and this community, when we're done, we are expecting not less than 300 families staying in here. We have 2 wings. The wing A is where you have the flats, and the flats are 132 units of flats. And in the other area where you have the service plots, we have about 103, which of course we expect some people are going to be building semi-detached terraces and of course fully discharged villas. This is the 3rd time we're partnering with the Cooperative, Share Cooperative, that is Cooplag, to provide housing units, well-built housing of this nature in certain locations for their members. We've done something similar with them in Abuja. We're doing several projects in Lagos already, and this should be the 2nd we're having with Cooplag in Lagos.
Cooplag Manor Ogudu is the latest housing project embarked upon by the Cooperative Society, and with construction now officially underway, the project is expected to provide modern and affordable living spaces that reflect Cooplag's vision of improving the welfare of its members.
Let's find out what's happening in the world of business. Willie Bong has details.
Thank you, Melinda. We kick off with Nigeria's crude oil production, which grew by 5.5% year-on-year in August 2025, averaging 1.43 million barrels per day compared to 1.36 million barrels per day in the same period last year. According to the latest data released by the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, this comes as the country achieved 96% of 1.5 million barrels per day output quota given by OPEC. The NUPRC says this performance, which is based on crude oil and condensate production for the month, reflects improved output levels across key oil terminals and signals a stronger recovery in the upstream sector. However, on a month-to-month basis, the output dropped by 4.7% from 1.71 million barrels per day in July, a decline attributed mainly to an unscheduled one-day maintenance shutdown at a key oil production facility. Now, the director at the Institute of Capital Market Studies at the Nasarawa State University, Professor Uche Waleke, has called on the Nigerian Exchange Limited to implement a phased approach in its proposed plan to extend the trading hours from 5 to 8 hours. I spoke to him a few hours ago on a capital market program today where he listed some advantages of the initiative, but cautioned on the negative impacts this could have on the market.
Talking about the upsides, okay, liquidity is one of them. All right. The other one too is price discovery. When you have longer sessions, it also allows the market time to digest market information. So to that extent, you can also say it also helps to boost the price recovery. And of course, in terms of revenues for the exchange, revenues for regulators, even revenues for brokers, that's likely to increase. Of course, for each share that is sold in the market, the exchange gets something, and for each share that is bought, the exchange gets something. So the more the activity will have in the market, the more revenues they make. The costs you mentioned, operational costs, yes, that's on the downside. That is given because when you do that kind of thing, you're stretching the number of hours. Of course, you're employing staff. Your overheads will rise, whether with respect to brokers or exchange or the regulator. So that's a fact, that you have mentioned. The issue of costs, and that's also why it's important before they, they embark on this, they should do a study on market readiness. How ready is the market? What's the state of broker infrastructure, for example? The willingness of even the investors. All this should be taken into cognizance before embarking on prolonging the trading session. I would suggest here that instead of going outright from the current 9:30 to 2:30, they may just phase it and start with say 9:30 to 4 p.m. just as we have in the New York Stock Exchange. So that we don't encourage, if you like, market participants fatigue, which can set in when you have very prolonged a period. So it should be phased.
We turn to more in the financial sector. The Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprises, CPP, has commended the successful 2-year leadership of Mr. Olayemi Cardoso as the governor of Nigeria's central bank. Now, in a statement released by CEO Dr. Muda Yusuf, the economic think tank highlights that Mr. Cardoso, who assumed office as the CBN governor on September the 22nd, 2023, has brought about significant transformation to the country's financial system, which gains in transparency, credibility, and stability. The CPP also recommends that the next phase of reforms by the CBN must focus on achieving a more balanced policy stance that supports growth while preserving macroeconomic stability. He adds that addressing structural financing gaps and sustaining governance reforms will be critical for unlocking the financial sector's full potential as a driver of inclusive economic development. Now, more in the finance space, the World Bank Group says it has completed its first ever securitization transaction through its private sector arm, the International Finance Corporation, IFC. In a statement on Friday, the Washington-based institution says $510 million collateralized loan obligation marks the beginning of an originate-to-distribute model that repackages IFC loans into rated securities. The World Bank clarifies that the move, which will create a new pathway for institutional private capital to flow into emerging markets. The transaction involves repackaging IFC's loan portfolio into rated securities, thereby creating a new asset class that meets the risk and return requirements of global institutional investors, including pension funds, insurance companies, and asset managers. According to IFC, this approach is expected to unlock access to the world's largest pool of capital while freeing up its balance sheet to finance additional projects across developing countries. And Nigeria's gross foreign exchange reserves have increased for the 11th consecutive week as it climbed by $291.41 million week on week to $41.95 billion as of September the 18th. And this latest accretion in the country's external buffer is attributed to the sustained offshore inflows of foreign exchange amidst the robust $150 million intervention by the central bank within the week. Now, the move also propped up the Naira's gain by 2.2% week on week to 1,586 Naira 50 kobo against the dollar on Friday. Meanwhile, analysts say stronger non-oil export receipts and reduced incentives for speculative positioning could reinforce the position or the positive momentum and create a more balanced FX market outlook. And that's business news. It's back to Melinda for more on the news at 10.
Many thanks, Will. The Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria, DICON, has confirmed the death of one person and several injured following an explosion at its factory this morning in Kaduna South local government area. That's according to its public relations officer, Maria Sambo, who says the incident was caused while specialists were concluding the destruction of the remaining quantity of expired raw materials for weapon production at its disposal pit located in Kakuri Industrial Area. While commiserating with staff, families, and friends of the deceased, DICON assured the residents that the incident is under control and there is no need to panic. Now, time to find out what's happening in the world of sports. Kelly Egiga has details.
Many thanks indeed, Melinda. In the world of sports, Liverpool made it 5 wins from 5 as their flawless start to the defense of the Premier League crown continue with a 2-1 victory. The Merseyside derby against Everton at Anfield. Elsewhere, Tottenham Hotspur fought back from 2 goals down to secure a deserved point against Brighton, while Burnley and Nottingham Forest settled for a 1-1 draw. Crystal Palace defeated West Ham United 2-1 to pass the pressure on Hammers' boss Graham Potter amid fan protests before and during the match at the London Stadium. 3 half goals helped Leeds United claim their first away win of the season at the expense of Wolverhampton Wanderers, will remain rooted to the foot of the table without a point this term. At the rain-soaked Old Trafford, Manchester United had fought 2-1 victory over Chelsea. The intensely contested match saw both teams finish with 10 players. Well, it's the show final to look forward to. Well, that's sports. I'm Kelly Giga. It's back to Melinda.
Many thanks, Kelly. On the international scene, at least 3 people have been killed and more than 30 others injured in a massive overnight Russian aerial attack on Ukraine. That's according to President Volodymyr Zelensky, who adds that regions across the country were targeted as part of a deliberate strategy to intimidate civilians and destroy infrastructure, with one direct missile hit reported on a residential building. Ukraine's Air Force says Moscow launched 619 drones and missiles. However, Russia's defense ministry says this massive strike used precision weapons and targeted military-industrial facilities. It also says 4 people were killed in a Ukrainian drone attack on the Samara region. Heathrow is among several European airports hit by a cyber attack affecting an electronic check-in and baggage system. The airport said a number of flights were delayed today as a technical issue impacted software provided to several airlines. Brussels Airport said the cyber attack on Friday night meant passengers were being checked in and boarded manually, and one of Berlin's airports reported longer waiting time problems. RTX, which owns software provider Collins Aerospace, said it was aware of a cyber-related disruption to its system in select airports and that it's working to resolve the issue as quickly as possible. And the main news again. The Vice President, Kashim Shettima, is to lead Nigeria's delegation to the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York, United States of America. Also today, Ndemili residents in Anambra State have endorsed Governor Chukwuma Soludo's re-election bid. That's the news at 10 tonight. I'm Melinda Kinlami. On behalf of the team, good night.